Well, hello, and welcome to Father, Son, and Skillet. I'm Alden. This is my son, Owen.
And this is a saute pan with lid.
And we're going to use that today to make a really tasty chicken dish. So stick around for Father, Son, and Skillet. In an earlier episode, you remember we made some salsa. This is the green salsa, the salsa verde that we made. And we're going to use that and this pack of chicken thighs to make chicken in green salsa. Well, let's get started by cleaning these chicken thighs up a little bit. There's always little extra bits of skin and things that just don't make for a pretty meal. So we'll take those off. Save all those trimmings for making stock later. We have a bone bag in the fridge, in the freezer. So there you see we have all of these trimmed up. Mostly skin, little chunks of bone that were loose. Like I said, we have what we call the bone bag that we put all those steak trimmings and pork shoulder blades and excess trimmings like that in. And when it gets full, we make a little batch of stock to have in the fridge because it's always nice to have a little stock when you're cooking.
And you can make that a mixed bag like we've got, or if you've got the space for multiple, you can segregate them. Beef in one bag, pork in another, poultry in a third, and make more specific stocks.
I would say, though, if you're going to do lamb, to leave the lamb separate from everything else, because everything else will taste like lamb, and that's not always a flavor that you want.
So this isn't a 2-ingredient dish, it's 4.
And one of those is what we're seasoning this with is Adobo, which there are several brands that you can find in the grocery store or Mexican markets. This one is mostly salt, pepper, and garlic. So you kind of know which way do you want to go if you don't have some adobo on hand, but it's a good thing to have.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes you'll see them with, well, as you can see, this one has a little bit of turmeric for color. You might also see a little bit of citrus, either citric acid, which I know this one has, or maybe specifically lemon or orange peel. Those are always nice flavors.
A tasty substitute might be to take some lemon pepper, which usually has a healthy dose of salt with that lemon and pepper flavor, and add a little bit of garlic powder to it. That would be tasty.
Mm-hmm. And if you want to go with some Caribbean herbs, a little marjoram or Mexican oregano wouldn't be out of place either.
Not at all. So over a fairly low heat, we get our little pan going.
And we had our last ingredient, if you can call it that.
A little bit of olive oil, just a teaspoon or two, because the chicken will render enough fat on its own.
But we like to start with a little bit of olive oil, both for flavor and to have a little bit of fat in the pan when you start so it doesn't stick too badly.
Right, and an important thing to remember with chicken skin is that if your pan has a little coating of oil and it's fairly warm, fairly hot, then when you get an instant sizzle, you're not as likely to have that problem of chicken skin sticking to the pan.
Make sure your pan's hot. We've done this enough, we can do it by feel. And put in the chicken skin side down.
Hear that little sizzle? That's what you want to hear. And we'll get that, let that go really slow and render as much of the skin, the fat from the skin as we can so that we have a little crispier effect going on. And then we'll turn it over and continue from there. We've gotten a nice little brown on this skin. You see how much more fat has rendered out of that chicken. A little brown. And we'll let these go on this side for just a little while. So there's maybe a little brown on the underside. And then we'll move on to the next step from there. Okay, you see the chicken has started to get a little brownness on the bottom side there. So we'll pull it out for a moment. Deal with this excess fat. Ooh, that one wanted to stick. You gotta be careful, don't want to tear it up. Pour off most of that fat. And now for our final ingredient, our salsa. About 1.5 cups, I'd say. And we just lay this chicken back in it all beautiful. Now, we were talking about whether you wanted a crispy skin or not, a finishing method for this. With the method that we're going to use, we're just going to put a lid on the top of this and turn it down, set off our timer for 20 minutes, and it'll be done. But the skin won't be crispy on the top. If we were to, say, leave the top off of it and put this in the oven for 30 minutes at like 375, then we'd have a nice crispy skin, and that's pretty good. But right now it's 100 degrees outside, and we're not firing up that oven. Okay, now to plate this, let's make it pretty. Let's put down a little bit of the salsa from the pan. Place a chicken thigh on top of it very nicely. Give it another little spoonful of sauce. And we'll put a little yellow rice on the side. So there you have it, green salsa chicken.
Pollo con salsa verde.
See. So, thanks for joining us. If you like this video, be sure to click like down below, share it with your friends, and of course, if you haven't subscribed already, do subscribe and ring that bell. Where's the elephant?
A very small elephant.
Thanks for joining us on Father, Son, and Skillet.